Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Shruti-Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavadpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Nishwaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Sri Medha Dakshina Murti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Graditam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarchinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandhadami Bhagavad Gita Vavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sankavada Kramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasti Tadadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Namaste once again, everyone. So,
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitramidamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartumavyayam. So, second sloka of the 9th chapter. So, as we were discussing in the last class, in the first 3 verses of the 9th chapter, Lord Krishna introduces the subject matter, namely Ishvara Jnana. And this is one of the themes of the middle section of the Gita. In the first 6 chapters, Krishna focused on Jiva Swarupam. Now from 7th to 12th chapters, Krishna is focusing on Ishvara Swarupam. And while talking about the nature of Ishvara, Krishna wants to deal with the higher nature of the Lord, which was called in the 7th chapter as Para Prakriti. And also, he wants to deal with the lower nature of the Lord, known as Apara Prakriti. So, both the higher nature and lower nature, Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti, Krishna wants to deal with this in this middle portion, Madhya Shatka. And by higher nature, what we mean is that which is beyond the conditionings of time and space, which is an absolute principle, which is the lower nature is the relative empirical world. And therefore, the higher nature is not subject to time and space, and therefore, consequently, not subject to division and change. So, divisionless, changeless, timeless, spaceless absolute form is God. And as I said, the lower nature, what we mean is that which is within time and space, which is empirical in nature, and therefore which is subject to division and change. In the Upanishadic textbooks, the higher nature of God is called Brahman, and the lower nature is called Maya, Ishvara. All these things are not new, but then we are just reminding ourselves. Maya Sahita Brahman is Ishvara. So here we get both the topic of Brahma Swarupa, higher nature, and Maya Swarupa, which is the lower nature. And the knowledge of higher nature is called Vijnanam, and the knowledge of lower nature is called Jnanam. So Krishna says, I will deal with both Jnanam and Vijnanam. And in the first verse, while declaring to Arjuna that I shall impart the knowledge of both Jnana and Vijnana, Krishna glorifies this knowledge by pointing out two important aspects of this knowledge. Number one, this knowledge is the greatest secret. And number two, by gaining this knowledge, this Arjuna will be freed from samsara. That means whoever gains this knowledge will be freed from samsara. And we have earlier discussed freedom from samsara means freedom from all emotional turmoil, bondages, and most importantly, freedom from rebirth. Thus, Krishna started glorifying this knowledge. And he continued this glorification in the second verse, where he pointed out that this knowledge is called the greatest knowledge and the greatest secret. Guhyatamam. Firstly, this knowledge is not available to most of the people because there are significant entry barriers in the form of sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. And most of the people do not qualify for this knowledge at all. And that is why, Acharyas, if there are very few students in the class, they are not worried about it. In fact, if there is a big crowd, then that means that these people have come for time pass. If the students are serious, there will be only a handful of them attending the classes regularly. Secondly, even when people are told about it, when people talk about it, most of the time it remains beyond their comprehension. All of us have experienced this, isn't it? It is somewhat like the military codes which are employed by the army when communicating over wireless or telegraph. Now, these messages which are there in the air, can be heard by the enemy also. But they will not understand, even though they hear, they will not understand what is being communicated.
Crypto, this known as crypto.
Yeah, crypto, yeah. So unless one knows how to break the code, the messages cannot be deciphered. Similarly, with regard to this knowledge also, the teacher should be able to skillfully unfold the message of the Upanishad. Because a plain reading of the Upanishadic text will reveal many seeming contradictions, which are all part of the secret code. And they are meant to confuse a student who is not learning from a teacher from the tradition. So all these messages in the Upanishads, they need to be deciphered. And therefore, there are two requirements. A qualified teacher is required, and a qualified student also is required to grasp the message. And therefore, even though people may read books and books and books and listen to talks and talks and talks, they will not understand anything, and that is why this knowledge is a secret. And then in this shloka, Krishna goes to enumerate a few more glories of this knowledge. First, he says this knowledge is pavitram. Pavitram means purifier. It is the greatest purifier in the creation, which removes all the impurities in the form of all sanchita agami karmas, and also the psychological and emotional impurities in the form of raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, etc. And the most significant impurity is in the form of ignorance, avidya, ajnanam, of the reality of jiva, jagat and Ishvara. And this knowledge destroys that impurity also. In fact, Krishna uses an adjective uttamam to pavitram, which means it is the greatest purifier, the most exalted purifier. Then another important glory of the knowledge, he says, is that the result of this knowledge is pratyaksha avagamam. The result is directly available here and now while living. It is not something promised after death, which in any case cannot be verified. So the benefit of this knowledge is directly experienceable, and it is experienced here and now. And as we know, the highest goal of any human being is everlasting mental peace, everlasting mental happiness. That's all. All of us want that only. In the in the end analysis, what we are looking is peace and happiness. And this knowledge helps to gain these goals while living itself. Then Krishna points out that this is a knowledge which is in keeping with the Vedic teachings, and therefore it can be accepted without any reservations. Therefore, Krishna does not claim any copyright for this teaching, because Krishna knows that any teaching which is not in keeping with Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava will not be acceptable to the tradition and cannot survive in India, as we discussed in the last class. And therefore he says dharmyam. Here the word dharma means Vedic teaching. The definition of dharma in this context is shodhana lakshana artha dharma. That is, that means Vedic teaching. So dharmyam means in keeping with Vedic teaching. Dharmat anapetam dharmyam vaidika ityartha. Therefore, Arjuna, this teaching is dharmyam. It is in keeping with the Vedas. And the next glory he highlights is that it is susukam kartum. By gaining this knowledge, Jivan Mukti becomes far easier. Sukam means what? Comfortable. Susukam means very comfortable. You can get Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam and Jivan Mukti more comfortably than the alternate route, Krama Mukti, which we discussed. Because there are rules for Krama Mukti. What are the rules? First, we have discussed all this in 8th chapter, but just to remind you. So not only that you have to do upasana throughout consistently, more importantly, at the time of death, you have to sit in a proper position. Now itself, Swami Paramarthananda says, now itself it is very difficult for us to sit properly. If you sit down, you cannot get up. If you And sitting down itself, you require sometimes, put your hand down and all that. But at the time of death, imagine how you are going to do all these things. You have to sit. And then, suppose you are able to do that also. There is one more thing. Krishna says, most important thing which you should do. Sarva dvarani sanyamya mano hridi nirudhya cha murdhyad dhayatmana pranam astito yoga dharanam. So you have to withdraw all the prana, sense organs, bring it to the heart. Then you have to force it through the Sushumna Nadi. Carefully release it through the Brahmarandram. And then hope that there are no traffic jams in Shuklagati. And then you go to Brahmaloka, and there also there is no escape from attending these classes. You cannot help. So Krama Mukti is not easy. It is really tough. And compared to Krama Mukti, which is more difficult and unpredictable, Yanam and Jivan Mukti is easier, Susukham. You can get the benefit here and now. And therefore, in comparison to Krama Mukti, Krishna says, this Jnanam is Susukham. Jivan Mukti is far easier. And then finally, one more glory he points out is Avyayam. Here, Avyayam means imperishable. So this knowledge is imperishable in terms of its result. Phala drishtya avyayam. Which means one will get the benefit of moksha, which will be a permanent benefit. Unlike attaining the higher lokas, Swarga loka, even Brahma loka, all these are karma phalam only. But they are not avyayam. It is not inexhaustible. It is vyayam only. That means what? One can go to the higher lokas only for exhausting the punyas. And after exhausting the karma phalam, what will happen? Te tam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam shine punye martyalokam vishanti. Krishna will say later in this very chapter. Evam trayi dharma manuprapanna gatagatam kama kama labhante. All this we will see this sloka detail, later in the chapter. So like a meteor, we will land back in lower lokas. And therefore, kartum susukam avyayam. Such a wonderful Ishvara Jnanam, Arjuna, I am going to impart. And therefore, may you listen carefully. And all this he says to gain the attention of the seeker. It is like the magic show, The magician comes on the stage. He will not do the tricks immediately. In fact, there will be lot of, fanfare and all that. He will come, many people will come, dance and all. He will be, dressed in layers of cloth. And he will remove all those dresses one by one, set to some music, and dance. Then from the cap, he will start taking clothes from the hat. So a lot of, show is there. Like, in Tamil or in cinematic language, they say build up. So to give a build up to attract the attention. So that next, whenever you are going to present what is going to be presented, the attention of the listener or the viewer is there. So Krishna also, like a master magician, gives a detailed introduction for this knowledge. Now we'll go to the next sloka. Ashraddha dhanav purusha hai dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. So the Anvaya is, He Parantapa, Purusha hai, अश्रद्धधाना है अस्य धर्मस्य निवर्तन्ते मृत्यु संसार वर्त्मनि अप्राप्यमा. हे परंतप, ओ अर्जुना, पुरुषा है, those people, अश्रद्धदाना है, who have no faith, asya dharmasya, in this teaching, nivartante, continue certainly, mrityu samsara vartmani, in the course of samsara, fraught with death, aprapyamam, without attaining me. So, O Arjuna, those people who have no faith in this teaching continue certainly in the course of samsara, fraught with death without attaining me. So, what Krishna wants to say here is, in spite of all the glorification that I have done, and also the glorification of this wisdom obtaining in the scriptures themselves, unfortunately, many people do not resort to this Ishvara Jnanam. Even though it is greatest, even though it is freely available, in most of the places, in many ashramas, many institutions, this knowledge is given free. Whereas for any other course, like learning the computer languages, like Python, JavaScript, Java and all, I'm told these are all some of the latest computer languages, whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know too much about computers. Little bit I know here and there. So for 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week, or 1 or 2 months course, they charge a whopping fee. And for that, there is a big queue. And the beauty is, they want to learn all these things to do what? To earn more. By earning more, what they will do with that earning? They will lead a comfortable life. So what that comfortable life will give them? It will give them peace and happiness. So now here Shastra is promising that peace and happiness, and that too permanently, without going through all these things. So therefore Krishna says this is the greatest wisdom and easily available, no fees, no long queues, and gives highest joy and security. But still many people do not opt for this. Why? One reason is people are very, they suspect. Suspicion, they are of suspecting nature. They are not able to trust that this knowledge will deliver the promised benefits. Am I wasting my time? Because as I said, it is not that you attend this, listen to Vedanta for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you will become moksha. No, you will become a mukta. No. A lot of sadhanas that you have to do. So one doubt whether it will give promised benefits. And another human problem is there. If anything is given free or cheaply, then most of the people do not value it. The irony is everyone looks for freebies in everything else. But when it comes to knowledge, if it is freely given, they don't value it. If you give them some spoon or some mug along with a packet of surf, they will buy that. They will find a value in that surf. But This knowledge they won't value if it is given free. In fact, Swami Paramarthananda gives an example. If a boy says that he is willing to get married without insisting on any dowry, then people begin to wonder if the boy has got some defect or he suffers from some problem. Otherwise, of course, still in our society, of course, it is getting better and better, but still in many communities, giving a large dowry is the norm in marriages. So people wonder if this boy is not demanding dowry, how come this boy is so cheaply available? Must be something. This boy's people are hiding something about this boy. They will reject that marriage just for this reason that he is not demanding dowry. So similarly, when you promise the highest benefit, and that too without any cost, most people think that there must be something fishy here. And therefore, they do not want to trust this knowledge and they reject it. And therefore, Krishna says, Purusha hai, ashraddha dana hai. Many people do not have shraddha in the efficiency of this teaching. Dharmasya asya. Here, as I said, dharma means teaching. Ishvara jnanam. Here, the word dharma does not mean dharmartha kama. No, that dharma. No. It does not refer to punya also. In this context, it is referring to Vedantic teaching. Brahma Vidya is called dharma hai. Ishvara jnanam is called dharma hai. And so many people do not have faith in the efficacy of this teaching. And what is going to happen to them? In fact, Krishna expresses sympathies for them. He says, such people, aprapya mam, they lose the opportunity to attain me, they miss me. This human life they have got after so many lives. And you can attain me only in this life, in this human life. In any other yoni, it is unthinkable. Even devatas cannot attain. Devatas who are now devatas because of the punyam that they have earned, once the punyam exhausts, they have to take a human birth again. So in fact, there are only two kinds of people to whom this knowledge is available, this opportunity is available. One is those human beings who are in the bhuloka. Another one is jivas who are in the brahmaloka. These are the only two categories. Jivas who are there in brahmaloka, they can get the brahma jnanam there and get mukti. And jivas in the human beings in the bhuloka. So all these people miss me, miss the opportunity to attain me. Me who am the infinite Ananda. I am infinite security. I am infinite, limitless itself. So all these people, they lose the opportunity to attain me, attain moksha. And they very badly miss. In Kenopanishad, there is a mantra. Idam ched avayadi tata satyamasti na chediha vedin mahati vinashtihi. Idam chet avedi. If you gain this knowledge in this human birth, iha means in this human birth. Ata satyam asti. then the human birth is valid. You have put it to good use. Nachet iha vedi, if a person does not make use of this birth for spiritual knowledge, mahati vinashtihi, the loss is infinite. So it is the loss of the infinite Brahman. And therefore, Krishna's message is, may you follow the Vedanta Vichara. And suppose you say, okay, this birth, so much years are gone by, doesn't matter. Let me enjoy this, but next birth, I will certainly join, this Vedanta classes, etc. Because after all, I am a Hindu. I have got faith in the next birth. I know I will be reborn, etc. And therefore, I can do it there. We are all very experts in postponing, everything postponed. Right from our school days, I'm not talking, most of the people, there are exceptions. If there are exams, we will only postpone the studying for the examination till the last moment. Tomorrow exam, today we will take out the books and study. Oh, okay, few questions here and there and all. Okay, all I read is pass mark, I'll get it. Similarly, they will keep on postponing. Oh, I am very busy now. Let me retire and then I will take up Vedanta teaching. Next Janma I will take. How do you know your next Janma is going to be a Manushya Janma? And how do you know that even if you get a Manushya Janma, you will get an opportunity to learn? In this Janma, now you have got an opportunity. And therefore, why miss that opportunity? But then these people, they don't see this, they don't have this wisdom. And so what is going to be their lot? Krishna says Nivartante. Nivartante means Nischayena Vartante. They will definitely continue. Normally the word Nivartante means they return. But here it means continued existence. In what? In Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. They remain in the hold of samsara, which is nothing but punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, acquiring things and losing things, and again acquiring and again losing. Eternal struggle, endless struggle. So they continue their miserable existence. Mrityu samsara vartmani. Mrityu samsara means a samsara which consists of mrityu as the main problem. Mrityu yukta samsara, mrityu samsara. Because as we have discussed, samsara has many problems. Many problems like decay, separation, loss. So many other things are also there. But what is the worst problem in samsara? Mrityu, mortality. That's the greatest source of fear. And that is why whenever we want to talk about death, what is the expression we use? We say that person is mortally afraid. And so this person who does not use this human birth for spiritual knowledge suffers from a permanent sense of insecurity throughout his life. He continues in such an insecure life as a result of his failure to gain this knowledge. So here, after pointing out the glories of this knowledge, Krishna is also now giving a contrast. What will happen to a person who is not making use of this knowledge in this birth, in this human birth? What will be his lot? So with this verse, the introduction part is over. And as we saw in the introduction, Krishna introduced the subject matter, namely Ishvara Jnanam. He talked about the glory of this knowledge. He also talked about the most important qualification, namely Shraddha or Anasuya. In fact, there's one side information about Anasuya. Anasuya is the name of the wife of Maharshi Atri. Atri Maharshi, the descendants of Atri Maharshi are called Atreya Gotra people. So why is Atri's wife name is Anasuya? Because these are all, like as I said, aside snippets, nothing to do with what we are learning, but interesting, because in our scriptures, there is a lot of symbolism. The whole Ramayana can be explained symbolically also, not as a history, not as a itihasa. Everything, can be explained as a symbolism for certain things, certain knowledge. And because of this, this use of symbolisms, sometimes it leads one to doubt whether all that is said in the scriptures are true. That is a problem with the symbolism also. Anyway, so why Atri has got the wife called Anasuya? Because the word Atri is a shortened form of Atrihi. Atrihi means navidyate trihi yasya. Means the one who has transcended the three. What are the three? Stula, Sukshma, Karana, Shariratrayam. It can be one of them. So one who has transcended Shariratrayam. Or you can say Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Guna. The one who is Gunatita hai. Such a person will never have a problem of Asuya. Such a person will not have a mind which always looks for fault in others. So Atri and Anasuya will always go together like husband and wife. This is the symbolic significance of Atri and Anasuya. Anyway, as I said, this is such incidental information, more for Manoranjan rather. So, having completed the introduction, Krishna now enters the subject matter from the 4th verse. And this is the central theme of the 9th chapter, which begins with the 4th verse and it goes up to the 10th. So 4th to 10th is the main topic of 9th chapter. In fact, it is one of the most important portions of the entire Gita, which contains the essence of all Upanishads. And therefore, Krishna condenses all these verses. Krishna wants to talk about the nature of God, especially the higher nature of God. And therefore, in these verses from 4th to the 10th verse, we get a description of Brahma Swarupam. So we will enter the 4th verse. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastitah. Anvaya is sarvam idam jagat tatam maya avyakta murtina sarva bhutani matstani cha aham na avastitah teshu. Sarvamidam, all this, Jagat, universe, Tatammaya is pervaded by me. Avyakta Murtina, whose form is unmanifest. Sarva Bhutani, all beings, Matstani are in me. Cha, still, Aham na teshu avastitah, I am not in them. See, this verse and the next verse are very complicated verses. Very easy to get confused. As I said, this is based on the Upanishads. So these are all the secret codes. If you read these verses on your own, you will get totally confused. You will just throw away Bhagavad Gita book. So what is Krishna saying here? All this universe is pervaded by me, whose form is unmanifest. All beings are in me, still I am not in them. Just imagine. So we will discuss this, go through it in detail. In this sloka, Krishna highlights three features of higher nature of God. What are they? Sarvagatam, Avyaktam, and third is Jagat Adhara or Jagat Adhisthana. So in this, we will first discuss Avyakta Murtina, whose form is manifest, because once we understand, then the other two will be easier to discuss. So God, in his higher nature, is attributeless or formless. Vyaktam means which is perceptible to any of our sense organs, Indriya Gocharam, and Avyaktam means Anindriya Gocharam, not perceptible to any sense organs. So if an entity or object has got the property of sound, then it is perceptible to the sense organs, namely the ears. If there is Sparsha Guna, it can be known through skin. If there is Rupa Guna, it is perceptible to the eyes. If there is Rasa Guna, then it is perceptible to the tongue. If it has got Gandha Guna, it is perceptible to the nose. So Lord in his higher nature is not perceptible to any of the five sense organs. Mundaka Upanishad students can recall Yattat adreshyam agrahyam agotram avarnam achakshusrotram tadapani padham nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam tadavyayam yadbhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. I think we must have repeated this mantra n number of times, isn't it? That is exact full description of what this higher nature of Bhagavan. We have seen that discussed in Mundaka Upanishad also. And similar description is there in Katha Upanishad also. Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam, Tata Arasam, Nityam, Agandavat cha Yat, Anadhyantam, Mahatav Param, Dhruvam, Nichaya, Tad Mrityu Mukhat Pramuchyate. Similar description in Kathopanishad. So, Lord is free from all attributes, which means if you have experienced God in any particular form, then it is only the lower nature of God. If you say Krishna came, or I saw Krishna Murti or Rama Murti, Murti means the idol, not the names of people. Of course, the names of people are named after these gods only. Krishnamurti means what? A form of God who has got dark color. Krishna means dark. That is the Rupam for the Lord. And that is why it is said in Kenopanishad. If you have experienced God as an object, it is only lower form of God. It is certainly God, no doubt. And that darshanam is indeed great. And that bhakta also is to be congratulated. But still from Vedantic angle, if you have darshan of God, then it is not the real one. Because Kenopanishad says, Netam yaditam upasate. Then how do you experience the higher God? Higher God is not an object of experience. because it is free from all attributes. And therefore, what is the first feature of Ishvara? Avyakta Rupaha. And once you understand that the Lord is formless, where will he be located? You cannot have a location. How will you ask the question, when will the Lord come? Lord can never come. The Lord can neither come nor go because he is formless. And therefore, in our puja, what we do? We start the puja with Asmin Haritra Bimbe Sumukam Maha Ganapatim Dhyayami Avahayami. You invite the God. And at the end of the puja, ruthlessly Yathasthanam Pratishtabhayami. Tell you have now come, I have done everything, I give you Nevedyam. Your stomach is full, now please leave. I've got other things to do. So my puja will end and I give him Nevedyam, then ask him to go back. So all these things are possible only with regard to a finite personal God. Pujya Swamiji, in his usual, humorous way, he says, these are all Ayaram, Gayaram gods. All Krishna, Ganesha, Rama and all. You do puja for them every year, then you bring them, invite them, do everything, give Nevedyam, do Karpuram and say, get lost, go away. As somebody said in the beginning of the class, Ganapathy Papa Moria, Urcha Varshi, again you come, I don't know exactly the phrase.
Laukarya.
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 Pucha Varshi Laukarya. Please come again, right? So that is a lower nature of God, the personal God. That is also God. Nothing wrong in having bhakti towards that Lord. Absolutely okay. But that bhakti should be, you should graduate from that bhakti and come to the higher nature of God. So that bhakti cannot be the ultimate one. The ultimate is the discovery of the Lord who can never come, who can never go. Always there, always with me. And once I discover that God, there is no question of losing that God. The thought or fear that Bhagavan will leave me, he will ditch me, is not there. There is no Viraha Gitam also. In fact, in Bhagavatam, we have this Viraha Gitam. When one gopi cries, when Bhagavan leaves her and goes to the other gopis. All these things are not there in the higher nature of God. So, Avyakta Murtina. This is the first glory of the higher nature of God. And then the next glory or feature is Sarvagatam. Krishna highlights this, uses the word tatam for this. Tatam means Sarvagatam, which means it is pervaded all over. It does not have any spatial limitation. And which is a natural consequence of being Avyaktam. Because in the previous description, Krishna had said that the higher nature does not have a form. If there is no form, it means there is no boundary. Because to have a form, you have to have a boundary. Because form is determined by what? By boundaries only, isn't it? Suppose you take a hall. How do we decide whether the hall is a square or a rectangle? By looking at the boundaries and measuring them, isn't it? So the boundaries determine the form of any entity. And since Bhagavan is formless, it means Bhagavan is boundless. And therefore, Bhagavan is all pervading. And therefore, if somebody asks, is the Lord in Vaikuntha or Kailasa? What should be our answer? You can certainly say, yes, Lord is there in Vaikuntha and Kailasa. But if you stop with that, it will be an incomplete statement. Because if you say Lord is in Vaikuntha, you are automatically excluding Bhuloka and other lokas. And therefore, you have to refine that statement. You cannot say Lord is not in Vaikuntha also. That also will be wrong. So what you should say? You should say Lord is in Vaikuntha also. Add the expression also, which means the Lord is everywhere and therefore the Lord is here and now, and therefore the Lord is in Vaikuntha also. And therefore you need not travel to reach the Lord. You need not travel to merge with the Lord. If at all there is a merger, it is only the wisdom that the Lord is never away from me. That is what is merger. So in Vedanta, merger or aikyam means the wisdom that the Lord is never away, I am never away. There is no difference between me and Lord. Dropping the notion of division is merger. Why? Because Lord is idam sarvam tatam vyaptam. Sarvam vyaptam, all pervading. So the first feature is nirgunam, which is called avyaktam. Second feature is sarvam vyaptam, and sarvam vyaptam is referred to here as tatam. Then Krishna introduces one more feature, the third feature. And in the second line he says, Matstani sarva bhutani nacha aham teshu avastitah. The whole world is resting in me. Sarva bhutani, all things and beings, they are matstani. They are resting in me. I am Vishwadharaha. And that is why in Vishnu Sahasranama, we have a Dhyana Shloka. Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam Patmanabam Suresham Vishwadharam Gagana Sadrisham. See, beauty of our scriptures, in one Dhyana Shloka itself, you can see different description, both lower form and higher form is talked about. Both para prakriti and apara prakriti is talked about in one shloka. When you say Bhujagashayanam, you are saying the Lord is located in a place, relaxing or sleeping on a coiled serpent. Bhujagashayanam. Pujya Swamiji used to say, it is the first spring court in the world. Coiled serpent is like a spring court only. So Lord is relaxing, in that. So you have located the Lord in a particular place. So that this description that Lord is located in one place is for whom? For the beginner student, LKG students, or you can say primary school students. For advanced students, the second line gives the description. Vishwadharam. See? Once you say he is Bhujagashayanam, then you say Vishwadharam. How can that be? So quite an opposite statement. First it was said, Bhujaga or the serpent is the Adhara for the Lord, on which he is doing Shayanam. He is lying on the snake. So snake is the Adhara, the support, in the first line. In the second line, it says Vishwadharam, Lord is supporting the whole universe. And therefore, if you analyze, the snake does not support the Lord. The truth is that the Lord supports the whole universe, the whole creation, of which the snake is a part. And this is the higher nature of the Lord. So in his higher nature, the Lord is supporting the whole creation, of which the snake is also a part. And in his lower nature, he is resting or lying down on that snake. And therefore, where is the Lord? Gagana Sadrisham, he is like space. He is all pervading. And this portion is beautifully presented here. Matstani Sarva Bhutani. I am the supporter of the universe. At the same time, Nacha aham teshu avastitah. I am not supported by the world. I am ever the supporter. I am never the supported. So I am the supportless supporter of the universe. The whole creation rests in me, but I do not rest on any support. And therefore, the third feature of the higher nature of God is Jagat Adhara or Jagat Adhishtanam. And so Krishna talks about three important features of the higher nature of God or Brahman in this sloka. The Lord is formless, number one. Lord is pervading, all pervading, number two. Lord is the support of the entire universe creation. This is the third feature of the Lord Brahman, higher nature of God. Now the next sloka. Nachamatstani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastah mamatma bhuta bhavanah. So the Anvaya is cha bhutani na matstani pashyame aishwaram yogam mama atma bhuta bhavanah cha bhuta bhrit na bhutastah. As I told you, no, absolutely contradictory statement to what he has said in the previous one. We'll see the word meanings. Cha, in fact, bhutani, all beings, na matstani, are not in me, pashya, see, me aishwaram yogam, my divine yoga, mama atma, I myself, bhuta bhavana, I am the creator of the beings, cha bhuta bhrit, and the sustainer of the beings, na bhutastah, but I am not in the beings. So Krishna says, in fact, the beings are not in me. See my divine yoga. I myself am the creator of beings and the sustainer of beings, but I am not in the beings. So here Krishna says, Bhutani na matstani. In fact, the world or the beings do not rest in me. So the beings do not rest in me. They are not in me at all. So as I said, this is one of the most problematic lines in the Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna is straightaway contradicting what he said in the previous verse. What did he say? Just now I told you. See, if there is a contradiction between two chapters, most of the times you will not feel it. In fact, most of the time you will not find out also. Because when we study the first chapter, we do not know the second. And when we come to the second chapter, generally first is forgotten. And therefore, even if there is a contradiction, then it is not felt. In fact, Gita has got several such seemingly contradictory lines. But this is the most unique seeming contradiction because they are placed very close next to each other. And in the previous sloka, not even the first line, second line. Second line, sloka, first line of this sloka contradicting. Second line of previous sloka. So even that much time is not given. In the previous sloka, Krishna said, all beings are in me. And in this sloka, first line he says, all beings are not in me. How to account for this? So this is the biggest problem for all commentators who analyze Gita. And several people try to explain this in several ways. You cannot say Krishna is contradicting. That means Krishna will become a bad teacher. A thinking person will not contradict himself. And therefore, Adi Shankara beautifully resolved this contradiction. How he does that, we will see in the next class. Okay, I'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you all.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Om.
Yesterday in the
Harihi Om,
crash,
Guruji.
yesterday in the crash, there's a person who was carrying
Thank you,
Bhagavad Gita. That was absolutely safe.
Carrying what?
Bhagavad Gita, copy of Bhagavad Gita
Oh,
book,
is it? Okay.
and that is safe.
Oh,
Rest all burnt.
rest all burnt. Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank
Hari Om.
Guruji,
Thank you.
namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Namaste. Namaskaram. No hands have gone up, so I presume there are no questions.
Namaskar, Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Guruji, lots of questions, but then I'll wait for more shlokas to be completed because every time I've ever made attempt to read this chapter, I think this is where I have given up because I'm sure the meaning especially in the previous shloka that made a lot of sense. I had also noted down a question saying that when God is all pervading, why is he saying I'm not in them? So that means there's a place that God is not somewhere, which is not possible. But then you explained it, and that made so much sense that he's instead of saying I'm not in them, you explained it as I'm not supported by them. That makes more sense. But then again, in the current shloka also there are contradictory lines. I'll wait for the next class for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Dhanyawad Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. So shall we close the class then in that case, because I need to go down for my dinner today. So we'll see next week. Okay, Hari Om. Thank you.